Welcome to the newest episode of Growler Garage. What are we up to now? Episode 4?
Yes, sir.
Episode 4. Your host, Pat Britton, alongside producer Matt, and our guest today,
Hello.
Will. How's it going today, Will?
Very good, Pat. Hey, thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, of course. We got Will's a lifelong car enthusiast, racing enthusiast, all kinds of fun stuff like that. President of a car club called the Dragon Knights. We're going to talk about that, a car club in which I'm a member of. A terrible, awful member who hasn't been to a meeting in months.
So just like every other member.
Just like, yeah, that I think is required for that car club. Before we dive too into it, though, I definitely wanted to hit on something, a big influence in my life, Hot Rod. Roddy Piper. You can see wearing the shirt. This is coming out a week late, so just bear with me because we got to the news as quickly as we could.
The almost current events.
But everybody knows him. More than a wrestling icon, he's kind of a pop culture icon. So I just wanted to kind of throw out there that he's pretty young, came out of nowhere, so that was a little bit of a shock to me. And then everybody knows him for the came here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum. So that's, I think, what most people remember him for.
He the one that coined that phrase?
Yeah, a lot of people know, but they don't know that Roddy Piper's one who said that. So if you've ever thought that phrase or said that phrase, then just remember Roddy Piper. So just wanted to say that it's a big loss, I feel like, but we won't dwell on that too much because I try to keep pro wrestling off this show, even though I'd love to talk about it. But
even though you don't want to dwell, do you want a moment of silence? Is that appropriate?
Yeah, we could.
I think we could probably handle that.
Okay.
We'll
yeah.
It.
All right. Let's. Yeah.
That's good enough.
All right.
Cool. So we got Will alongside me. Will, you've owned a lot of cars, and we're just going to kind of jump into it. And your current car probably gets more attention than anything you've had before. Would you say that's a fair statement? That it probably gets more people on? Well, obviously Instagram's not a fair comparison since Instagram's kind of newer, but right. You get a lot of people like you had David Freiberger come up to you randomly and talk about your car.
Well, it was only semi-random, and what it was I saw him at a swap meet, and it was a Long Beach Auto swap meet, and you would expect a lot of people to recognize Freiberger, but it was like nobody recognized him.
Weird.
Him or Finnegan. I mean, these guys.
Oh, Finnegan was there too?
Yeah, Finnegan was there too. And actually, it's pretty funny. Freiberger was selling on like one row, and then 3 rows past him was Finnegan.
What?
And I saw Freiberger, and I bought some stuff from him. I bought an air cleaner from him that I turned into a clock. But
that's
and
cool.
then as I walked down 3 rows, Finnegan was there, and I said, "Man," I said, "what's the story?" I said, "Is this like one of those typical TV relationships where you guys play best friends on TV, but in real life you hate each other?" And he kind of laughed. So do you want to buy something?
That's hilarious. For those who don't know, they're the hosts of Roadkill on YouTube, which I've talked about before, and I have no relationship with that show yet, but they're.
So it's coming.
I certainly hope so.
That would be pretty awesome.
I'm hoping that I'll be able to share a little bit at some point in the future on that, but. That is a show that is like, to me, it's like Top Gear UK, and that's right below it. Like it's right there.
Roadkill is pretty legit.
It is. The production, they don't have as much budget as Top Gear, and it's a little bit more, I feel like, homegrown, but that show's just the best.
I relate better to Roadkill as a car enthusiast.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Top Gear is probably funnier and maybe just a little bit more mainstream, of course, but Roadkill is something that where you look at that and you go, I could do that. Why don't I do that? And then there've been a number of times where I'm like, I'm going to go try and do that. And like taking a low ride to the desert. It's a lifelong goal of mine now.
Oh, yeah, right. That only made it, like a mile and a half?
Something like that.
Miles, right? It took them
really,
10 hours to go 3 miles.
Yeah.
It's kind of a brilliant way to not high center. You just use the hydraulics and just kind of crawl over it. I don't think we even mentioned it, what you drive now. Tell us what you drive now.
I drive a 1974 Pontiac Firebird.
So it's not exactly a 74 though, right? It is, but you wouldn't know that unless you're really savvy, right?
Right. That's really true. And what I like about that car, I've never been a clone car guy. I've never tried to fake anything. And I always refer to that car as what it is. Mm-hmm. Because the car was so crummy when I got it, I make the joke oftentimes that I beat Pick Apart to get that car. Like it was like me or Pick Apart, and it was whichever one of us was
duking it out.
Right, exactly. And I mean, it was bad. I remember your brother had come over. Pat's brother's a good friend of mine, been a good friend of mine for years. Came over and couldn't figure out the car and was like, I think this thing was in a junkyard. I think this thing, he was shocked it didn't have a salvage title. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I digress. The car was in horrible shape, so I had no choice but to get parts wherever I could and from whatever car I could to get it complete and running. And It's a 74 Firebird, but really all that's left of the 74 Firebird is probably the body, not even the doors. The doors are 79 Camaro.
Oh my God.
The fender. Okay, so this is how you go through that car, and the car club affectionately refers to that car as the transgender.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes. You should get that on a license plate.
And now is
It probably won't confuse people.
I don't know about that, but as obviously pop culture news gets more popular, I don't even know if that was correct to say.
That's fine.
And now it's called the transgender.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
right, exactly. But as I was saying, 74 body,
Right.
79 Camaro doors, 1980 Trans Am fenders, hood, and shaker, 77, 78 nose, which I drove all the way out to 29 Palms to get, cost me $40.
Jeez. Wow.
Right.
$40 and $200 in gas.
I mean, I've been Go ahead.
I got my work to pay for the gas.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
that's pretty good.
And what it was there was a Boulder supply, like a Boulder supply house out there on the way. And I said, hey, I'll pick up boulders for your house if you pay the gas.
Oh, that's not
There you
bad.
go.
I said,
So
great.
I've been trying to find, or thinking about, I'm not really sure yet, but I've been trying to keep my eye out for finding like a 78 or 79 Magnum front end for my car.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Because I like the look of it a little bit better. But I haven't found one. But I found a few other Cordoba front ends that I don't have any interest in. But hey, you know, it's another one that I suppose I could keep an eye on for. And I found one last week that a dude was using as his DJ setup.
What?
And it was legitimately the entire front end. Like, there's no bumper behind it, but it was the big ass, you know, that has the like the poly freaking covered front bumper on it. So the guy was hanging it off the front of his DJ stand, playing the ones and twos with a Cordoba front end on it. Headlights were still working. Like, he
Because
pressed
why
buttons and the
not?
Headlights
I mean,
would go.
why not?
It's pretty slick. Like, he has it so like came with a little control box so you could hit the turn signals and
Oh,
all
really?
kinds of craziness. And he wanted like
that's pretty legit,
$600 for it. And I'm like, I'm out.
Oh, 600?
It included the grill, so I like if I didn't have that spare grill, I might have bought it. 'Cause my grill had a big ass hole in it when I bought the car, but buried in the guy's box of stuff was another one, so I lucked out on that. But going forward, normally before I do one of these shows, I asked the guest if there's anything that's off topic. I forgot to do that, so I'm assuming everything's on topic.
Absolutely, everything's
So
on top.
if the next thing offends you, I've never offended you in my life, so if this offends you, I'm gonna be a little bit like, well, get over it. So I want to talk to you about Pinks. When you were on the show, Pinks, that was on Speed.
Fuck, man, I might almost be offended.
So Will was on that show, and I won't go into too much, but
That's okay.
it had you're memorable for probably all the wrong reasons on that one.
I'm sure.
So tell us about that. Tell us what happened on Pinks.
Okay, sure. I'll tell you all about what happened at Pink's.
It can be as short or as long as you want. If you want to go into a lot of detail,
We could
by all
spend the
means.
whole hour.
Let's not do
talking about
that.
this. Okay. You know, as a car enthusiast, this show Pinks came out, and at the time, the car club Dragon Knights was heavily into street racing. I mean, it was
Allegedly.
Allegedly, of course.
allegedly. Is that we don't talk about that?
Well, I'm just
we
saying.
don't
like,
drink and drive, and then we also don't street race.
right, I forgot
Okay,
to mention
got
that is, you know, we're all about beers and cars, but never at the same time.
That's right.
I got to get that out. Go ahead.
Right, got it. No, not at the same time. And I guess I allegedly was into street racing. Right. So the show comes on.
Legal street racing, of course, right?
legal.
Yeah.
Right, in Mexico or whatever.
Sanctioned. Sanctioned.
So the show comes on, and it's like, I don't know if anyone saw the first episode of Pinks, but Rich Christensen, I mean, the guy looked like a fucking skinhead.
Right,
He was
yeah.
at like the flight jacket.
Yeah.
And actually, what's surprising, I'll tell you guys a little Rich Christensen trivia. That guy's wife is black.
Weird.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, the wife that he was married to at Speed World in Arizona, that was black. I mean, she was black. Sorry. If Rich watches the show, I apologize. If Rich and I have a good relationship.
Oh, do you?
She was black. But watching the show, I thought I was certain he was a skinhead. And he said, hey, this is my wife. And it was like, you fucking what? So anyways, so I saw it, and it was really, really interesting. And at the time, I thought to myself, well, that's something I would do. And, you know, kind of hustling the game is something that I was used to and I had done. And, you know, kind of negotiating a good street race is something I felt really comfortable with and I thought I could do well.
Yeah, and to rewind, if anybody doesn't remember this show, it's a show where you would go to a random drag strip, and this one was what, in Arizona or something?
Arizona Speed World, yeah.
And you would go to this drag strip and meet up with, like, go against this other team of people that you had no idea who you were kind of showing up against, right? And the winner went home with the other person's car, hence the name Pinks. But it wasn't straightforward drag race. It was.
Wait, it wasn't hot dogs?
Everything was negotiable.
It was, yeah, literally, like, it was like, oh, you're on the bottle, run the next one without the bottle and give me 32 lengths. Right. Like, there was one, I think, where somebody started at
32
at like half track. One, I think somebody legitimately started, like, past half track, and the other guy had to had a time delay.
Right.
And I was like, what kind of honky-tonk fucking horse shit is this? Where you can't just run heads up. And just like, I would be like, no, just run this race with flat tires. Right. That's the kind of negotiating I'd do.
Yeah, I wanted to see if I could get my opponent to run in reverse. But anyways, the problem was with Pinks is, one, I did what I always do, which is overestimate the Dragon Knights. and I'm not blaming anybody.
That's a fatal flaw.
Yeah, I'm not blaming anybody in that club except for myself. I was young. I was hopeful. I had stars in my eyes, and I thought I could be on this show.
Yeah. What kind of car did you bring?
It was a '66 Mercury Comet.
Yeah,
that I'd bought from another car club member, Jim Gay.
Oh, really? That was Jim's car?
Yeah, that was Jim's car. Oh. And Jim, and Jim, if you're watching this, which, yeah,
does Jim exist anymore?
Jim exists in some capacity.
Okay.
I do. I apologize for that, man, because I know he really loved that car. Yeah. But before I even went on the show, I said, Jim, I'm going to use your car. I'm going to use, the Comet. Yeah. Are you okay with that? He said, oh, yeah, absolutely. That show's awesome. We're going to kick some ass. And, again, you go into these things with the best of intentions.
Yeah, and I mean, I suppose the best case is it's going to another car person. They're probably not going to destroy it. I don't know if you know what happened to him.
I do, actually, and we'll get to that.
Okay.
But so quickly, so I went online. I looked it up. I said, type here to be on Pinks. I did. Fast forward 6 months. I'm living by myself in Palm Desert, and all of a sudden my phone rings, and I pick it up. Hello, Will. This is Rich Christensen of Pinks. And he talks just like he talks on the show.
Always on.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Rich. Will, you signed up to be on Pinks. What do you want to do right now? Come on. Well, no, literally, that's how it was. That is exactly how it was. There are a few things I remember in life.
That's amazing.
But I remember Rich Christensen saying, and I quote, what do you want to do right now? Just like he does on the show, and his wife being black. Those are the two things. I remember nothing else. I can barely remember getting married.
Go ahead. I'll ask you in a minute.
Okay. So anyway, I said, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'd like to be on the show. He goes, okay, great. We'll set you up with a technical advisor. He'll follow the build of the car, and we'll get back to you with the dates, right?
So interesting. So they follow the build. Like they actually know everything that's in that car.
Right. Rich knew that it was a bunk deal before I even got there. And they followed. And I told Rich, because they asked you, they said, well, what kind of money do you make? Like, what kind of money are you going to be putting into this car? Right. But I get it. For production, you don't want somebody showing up with a piece of junk and racing.
And if they are, you want to put against another piece of junk.
Exactly.
Okay, I got you.
So I don't recall if I overstated my income or something, but he set me up with this guy named Tracy Popham, who was like a fucking oil baron. The guy told me when we were on the track, he's like, oh yeah, I flew over in my private jet just to check the track out. It's like, can you see much from an airplane? Yeah, it's straight, guys.
Like he's checking out the Nürburgring or something. Like, oh, it's Speed World in Arizona. Looks like a quarter mile. Luckily, I live my life one of those at a time.
Right, I'm going to get my private surveyor out here to make sure that it's an actual quarter mile. Anyway, so that was the guy. And at the time, I had a friend of mine that was helping me out that owned a shop. And you know what, man? I'm not afraid to admit it. I was young. I was probably, to some degree, maybe arrogant or a jerk or whatever. I just say that to be nice at this point. But he pulled the plug on the engine program we were running with. And I just called up Rich and said, hey, Rich, this is the story. What do you want to do? And he said, well, what do you want to do right now?
What do you want to do right now?
And I said, you know what, man? I don't care. And at the time, I was really bummed over several things.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, Rich? I said, I said I'd be there. And, I'm a man of my word, so I'll show up. So I showed up with the car with no motor. Mm-hmm. And deep down inside, I did not expect the guy to take it.
Yeah, you thought he was going to be like, nah, whatever.
Oh, not only did he fucking take it, he sent me pictures of it. As he built it, he's like, oh, here's your car. Oh, it's so bitchin'. I can't believe it. No rust, no body. It's like, oh, fuck. And then like after that, it was
Jesus.
just like a cavalcade of shit cars that I had and like bad luck. I lost my job. I was
Oh
home.
God! So Pink's ruined your life.
Pink's fucking ruined my life, man.
So hindsight being 2020, of course, but like
always.
what stopped you from getting like a roller 5-liter out of the junkyard and strapping on like a 500 shot of NOS and just showing up with that?
Because you might blow the
None
welds
of
on the
them.
intake.
That's did you not have enough manpower to help you do it, or was it just you didn't have enough time? Or
I think at that time, everybody was so worn out. I was actually living in Palm Desert.
right, that's
And
true.
the shop was in San Juan, so every night after work, I'd have to drive out to San Juan Capistrano, work on the
That's-
fucking thing, go home, go to sleep for a couple hours, then go back to work.
That's a hell of a drive.
And you know what? At some degree, it was probably somewhat of a relief when the guy pulled the plug. I didn't want to believe it.
Yeah.
And actually, hindsight being what it is, I would have lost anyways. So
to a multimillionaire oil
Right.
baron, probably, yeah.
exactly. So
Maybe.
I feel.
Maybe.
Do you remember
like I lost with some dignity by saying like, "Here's the car with no motor."
Well, that's
like,
just
do
that was
with
the
what
cool
you
thing
want.
is, you know, on TV they can make you look any way they want.
Right.
They made you look pretty good. I
Did they?
thought so. I thought
I
they
can't
ma-
watch the episode without
You know what's
crying.
the funniest thing is I had met you one time a lot, like in the past when that show came on. It's ironically the day I popped the clutch on my Mustang when there was no clutch left on it. So you, my brother,
Wait, the Mustang I bought?
no, the white Mustang.
The white
the one, the
I purchased-
99.
Oh
purchased
yes,
two
your first
Mustangs
your
from
first
you.
car.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I was driving and I was just driving along and the clutch just let go on it, as happens with people's first cars when they're 16.
Wonder why.
Side note: if somebody would be able to go and open that window, that would probably be really helpful. So if you want,
Let's
to let
let's
our
get
assistant
Jake to do that for us.
know. Isn't it warm? I sometimes I regret. You said Growler Gasana. Sometimes I regret doing this in a garage. I should have called it Growler living room or Growler bedroom, Growler bathroom.
Which I did use your bathroom before the show. It is ice cold.
It's so.
in there.
It's
we
real
never
nice.
stop running our air conditioner. We pay like $400 a month for
Oh my
a 3-bedroom
God.
house on our electric bill, and it's so worth it.
Coming from somebody that doesn't have to pay your electricity bill, so worth it.
Really?
so worth it.
I mean, honest to God, like I splurge on a few things in life. One of which is my TV. Another is my cell phone bill, which isn't even that bad. And the other is my electric bill. And you know what? People are gonna be like, "Oh, what a spoiled white privilege!" Ugh.
I wish I
Whatever.
made. I wish I made run the air all the time money.
I know we've often said the point of this podcast is that we can have run the air all the time money.
Oh,
And-
really?
That's the goal.
And that's the goal. But what was I? Oh no! So the first time I met you, like we get the car towed home.
Oh, shit.
and you and Egon were there.
Oh, okay.
Happened to be hanging out with my brother, and they're like, "Hey, can you give us a hand pushing this in the backyard so we can change the clutch on it in a few days?" And you had heard stories, I guess, from my brother about me. I guess there's a time limit on that photo back there, but it just keeps
Yeah, that's
disappearing.
annoying.
And now my iPhone doesn't want to.
It's not a picture of Rich Christensen's wife.
It's not, well, we could. I could probably pull that Pink's episode up. But so you're pushing me back, and you're making me laugh super hard because you kept calling me things like Mike C. And then that was my original name because my brother's Mike B, but there was a Mike A, and you called my brother Mike B before you knew his last name was Britain.
Britain, right.
So you called him Mike B because he's the second one. So then he's like, oh, he says to me, he's like, what's your name? I'm like, oh, Pat. And he goes, oh, how's it going, Mike C? So they're pushing it back and he's making me laugh, and I'm laughing and I'm steering. They're like, I'm steering it, and I keep like almost running it into the wall. It's a narrow like alleyway.
Oh.
And he goes, you're a fucking race car driver? You can't even back this car up with 3 manpower. How do you drive a truck with 400 horsepower? And he's pushing it back, and I'm laughing, and we kept doing that. So that's the only time I had met you. And then I used to watch Pink's religiously. I loved that show. I saw it, had no idea it was you.
Oh, really?
No clue. And I was like, oh, you know what? And I'm like I'm 16 or 17, and I'm like, that's a good dude. He showed up, didn't need to, showed up with the car, and handed it to him anyways. And I'm like, that's really, that's really, stand up of the guy. Dumb, but stand up. And I'm like,
Yeah, dumb. Real dumb, right?
but but I was like, that's cool. And my brother's like, that's Will. I'm like, who's Will? And he goes, the guy, the car club. I'm like, oh, gee, what? And I'm like, what, did you tell him we have a 351 Ford motor in the backyard? And he goes, well, we haven't really talked lately. I'm like, oh, well, ooh. So,
That's great. That almost makes it worth it.
yeah, no, the story probably is worth, I mean, I don't know what you paid for the car, but
Yeah, no, it was cheap, and actually, again, are we airing dirty laundry on this show?
You can air whatever you want, but keep in mind we do not do any editing.
I think I probably still owe a couple bucks on that car.
Really? I say no editing. We had one edit a couple weeks ago. So if anybody saw the quick little change, I'm not going to tell you what I said, but you know,
That was your one and only.
that's
edit.
my one. I used it on episode 2.
Yeah. You have no idea how much that pisses me off.
You know,
once I get it uploaded and you make me re-edit it.
You know what? I edited the YouTube
God,
video.
how offensive was it?
I wouldn't. I'll tell you off the air. It wasn't that bad, but with the current job prospects I have,
it would have been.
it
frowned
was
upon.
not good. If
Oh, okay. All
some
right.
of them happened to see it, it would have been real bad times. I think I'm probably overreacting.
No,
but
you know what? If it involves prospective employment, all bets are off. You have to do what you have to
Exactly.
do
Yep.
to take care of your family.
Yeah, and I told Matt, I'm like, hey, I'll do what I need to, like, tell me how to edit this. He goes, you do the video, I'll do the audio. This is your one shot. So in the future, if that happens, the YouTube video won't match the audio because I have to log into the YouTube and I'll just edit that. So you're on iTunes, you're like, wait a minute, this is a little bit longer. But
Yeah, if I said anything that jeopardized my career and Matt refused to edit, I mean, I would spend my life destroying every last, item of this podcast.
your lucrative career in the tree business,
Hire a
right?
hacker.
Yeah, mowing lawns. My lucrative career mowing lawns.
The first thing he does when he shows up, he's like, your lawn is the most like confusing thing. Like, this patch looks great. That patch looks terrible. That patch has nothing. And I told him the story of the contractor that bailed on us, and I could see the sympathy. And he's like, you like want to fix it. It seems like
I do, but I don't know how.
Well, yeah.
I'm your typical contractor. It's like I want to do something, I just don't know
Except
how.
you never picked up the shovel and started doing it. You're like, $1,000, please.
Right. Pick up a shovel once.
Yeah, one. I keep looking for the my timer on here. I got a new phone since the last one, so I'm trying to find the. It's on the clock.
The timer.
It's
Is
on the
this so
clock.
painful having me on? You're like, fuck. How much?
No, I'm trying to get us over to trivia.
God.
We're gonna go to trivia early here before you get drunk. Which you're welcome to hang out and get drunk all you want. That's fine with me.
There's about 7 ounces of alcohol left in that. That's not gonna do it.
There's one more beer in there.
Yeah, and that's all his. That's all him.
A growler. A
We have
growler
another
is,
episode to do after this.
Growler's 6 beers.
You don't have to go far. So
that's true.
all right. So I'm gonna turn this a little bit so you can't see my laptop screen here. So as you guys can see, I now have a leaderboard for our pop quiz trivia 0 to 60 challenge.
You can barely see
You
it.
could probably barely see, but it's there, and that's the important bit. Maybe we'll take a picture and upload it,
There you go.
or something like that. So, the way this works is you have 60 seconds. It's going to be on the clock.
Oh, I've seen all 4 episodes.
Okay.
All 3 preceding episodes.
Perfect. So I'm going to read the first question and then start the timer, and then I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to tell you yes or no, like right or wrong. Not going to give you the answer till the end because I'm learning here on how to make this go faster because the key here is speed,
Oh, speed.
not accuracy.
Perfect.
I think just shout an answer.
Let me show up with no motor.
Perfect. If you know the answer before I finish it, say it, but you don't get to retry.
How many questions?
It's 10. So the high score right now is 3 by Doug. Sean has 1. Lauren has 0, and the asterisk there is out of 30 questions.
Now, real quick, before you get started, I just want to tell you, I do poorly at trivia.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, man, nobody really does well at trivia on this show. And I decided that I'm going to gauge how much you like me by how difficult the questions are.
You know,
And so moving forward is going
these
to...
might be real softballs. I don't know. I've thrown what I feel like at all 3 people. I thought there was going to be a mixture of hard, easy, and just the easiest shit in the world. Like there was a couple that I thought for sure Lauren was going to just nail, and
Didn't happen.
it didn't work out.
All right, well, let's go.
so-
And you know what? We'll rest our heads on speed. We'll go
Go
pure
speed. Some of these are numerical, which is designed on purpose so that you got to kind of just estimate and that kind of stuff. And there's
You're giving away the secrets.
I'm just
Sorry,
saying.
T, go ahead. Go
3
ahead.
has a high score. I want a little more. I'm looking for a Koenigsegg style time out of you.
Okay.
So I'll make it
Christian
super
von
long.
Koenigsegg.
His name's not long enough though.
Yeah, I know. William, that kind of thing. So I made these questions about 4 hours ago.
Okay.
So are you ready for our pop quiz trivia 0 to 60 challenge?
I'm ready.
All right, I'm gonna read the first question and you answer it. So it's all right. Relax. It's okay.
You'll be fine.
You
You'll
ready?
Be fine.
Here we go. What was the name of the NASCAR movie starring Burt Reynolds?
Oh, fuck. Well, I know it wasn't Stroker Race, so Stroker Race.
Stroke race.
Oh,
What was the largest engine ever available in a Trans Am?
455?
Yes. Budweiser was made up of 30% of what ingredient?
Oh, alcohol.
No.
What? Oh, sorry.
How many Formula One races has Jenson Button won?
Oh, God. He almost... He won one when he worked for
Honda.
Yeah, for Honda, and then he pretty much dominated the season for Braun.
Yeah,
speed is the key.
14.
Close. Which is older, beer bottles or beer cans?
Beer cans.
No. What is the name of the AMC competitor to the Trans Am?
The Javelin?
Yes. How many races did Hesketh Racing enter?
Oh, God. 12.
No. What is the name of the beer that is named after a U.S. president's brother?
Abraham Lincoln?
No. You can have any beer you want as long as it's a blank.
Oh, Budweiser.
No. According to the Dragon Knight's rulebook, what determines the stall speed of a torque converter?
Oh, God. Fucking diameter.
Yes. And we got through all 10. That's the first time ever we got through all 10.
You got 4.
Oh, I've never won anything in
New
my
high
life.
score. New.
Corona and Sam Adams.
It was Corona, and the other was Billy Beer.
Oh, Billy Beer.
Billy Beer.
Yeah, all
after
right.
You can have any beer as long as it's a Corona.
so new
It's a Fast and Furious reference right there.
God, how do I not get the Fast and Furious reference? Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I mean, I'll go through them. The name of the NASCAR movie starring Burt Reynolds, I begrudgingly gave that to you. Stroke or Ace.
Fuck, I thought that was Kenny Loggins. No, I'm getting shit, man.
That was oh god, Kenny Loggins. No, there's one with Kenny Rogers.
What's the difference?
The ones where he adopts
Kenny
a
Loggins sings the Top Gun theme song.
There's the one where
what that
Kenny
is?
Rogers adopts a bunch of children to be his pit crew.
Yeah.
That's real life. This happened. He not real life. It's a movie that actually got produced where
Right.
he adopts a bunch of orphans and they become his pit crew. And the name of that movie escapes me, but it's brilliant. So that's that. Largest engine in the Trans Am. You got this one, 455. Budweiser is made up of 30% of what ingredient? That one I
Alcohol by volume?
it's not 60 proof, bro. It's
Tastes
rice.
like it.
It's rice.
Really?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
I would have said water.
Whoa. It's the king of beers.
You're
gentlemen.
right. You're right. It is.
I probably should have put that.
I retract my
beer
previous
bottles
statement.
are older by beer cans, but I think of something like 60 years.
You know what? I wanted to say beer bottles. Again, I'm defending. But I just thought, well, it's probably a trick question, and everybody probably says bottles. But, I mean, what do I know?
The AMC competitor, the Trans Am Javelin. How many races did Hesketh Racing enter? Shockingly, 52.
52. Oh, well, they were
for
in
like
the,
8 years.
Yeah, they were in the lower series.
No, I'm only counting Formula One.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, they were in there a lot longer than I thought.
Man, Lord Hexeth.
Yeah.
When you got money to the ceiling. Freaking
That's
let it rip.
what it is. They won. I didn't know they actually won a race.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought
Absolutely,
thought that Hunt just ran towards the front, and like the people were like, "Whoa, okay."
No, and I don't even think he ran towards the front. I think they won a race.
Probably one of those
Yeah,
like
right.
Senna and a Tolman races where it's raining and he's like, "Woo, we won," but he didn't actually. The name of the U.S. president's brother, Billy Beer. That's what's his name? What's his name? Lyndon Johnson's brother, I think. No, I'm probably wrong on that. Oh well, the Roku stopped. Let's try that
good.
again.
You know what's really breaking my heart is that my dad's gonna watch this, Pops.
Yeah.
And he's like a trivia master.
Oh, yeah?
And I guarantee he's just shaking his head. He's watching this right now, and he's like, "Oh, that
He's like 10 for 10.
no
10
son of
for
mine,
10.
no son of mine." Right.
And this next one was a Fast and Furious quote where I want to feel like you can have any beer you want as long as it's Corona. And then you got this last one. According to the Dragon Knight's rulebook, what determines the stall speed of a torque converter? Its diameter. That one I want to talk
Absolutely.
about because the rule. Any Dragon Knights member knows that anything in the rulebook is fact.
It's a law.
And we vote on what is in the rulebook, and once it's voted in there is no argument. And I think it's in the rulebook that anytime anybody asks you a question, you must answer it about cars. You must answer it with 100% certainty, even if you're wrong.
No, I think that's just general Dragon Knight.
Right. And I think it was my brother and Egon that put that torque converter one in there. And I don't know why we all voted yes. I think it's because you were so against it.
I'm so upset about that. and because I'm a Dragon Knight, I'm dyed in the wool Dragon Knight. Damn it, that's how you measure stall speed,
Right.
by diameter. Granted, the engineers at B&M that I've talked to at the SEMA show are emphatic that that's not, and it's all with the fins inside and the veins and things like that. But I'm here to tell you, on this podcast, it's diameter.
I'm pretty sure torque converters are hollow, aren't they?
God, yes, they might as well be. That's absolutely.
I don't remember some of the other rules. Some of the other rules are just as absurd as that one. But they're true. I mean, nobody else figured it out, but we did. So that's the
scientists at Dragon Knights.
right.
Right. Well, experts at everything.
No, that's true.
And collectively, I'll tell you a funny story. Collectively, we are experts at everything. And I'm not afraid to say it. Dragon Knights, fixed my pool last Saturday.
There
Are
you
you
go.
serious?
Fucking fixed my pool. I had the shittiest, greenest pool. 2 guys came over.
God.
The best part is one of the guys, Chef goes, oh, yeah, pool needs to be serviced? Oh, yeah, I got that. I was like, oh, all right, cool. So we're in the car, and I go, so the filter, I think, probably needs to be serviced. You ever taken a filter apart? And he goes, well, no. Oh, okay. Well, like, what have you done? And he goes, well, nothing, but, I'll figure it out.
This is the most excited thing about me having weekends off again, is that I'm hoping I get these phone calls from Will like, hey, everybody's coming over to help fix my pool. Can you come help? Yeah, you sure bet I can.
Actually, I slipped it in, and it was, can you help me pull the engine in the Firebird? Which, I'll let you know, obviously we pulled it because it's sitting out there. We did not pull it.
Why are you pulling the engine
far.
out of your Firebird?
Because the motor in my 74 Firebird that's out of an 89 Chevy 1500. Okay. I'm replacing
because why wouldn't it be?
Of course.
Right, exactly. Why wouldn't it be? I'm replacing it with a motor out of one of my Tiltmasters at work, which if you don't know what a Tiltmaster is, it's one of those big like industrial cab over trucks.
God.
And I was able to score the engine for free.
What's it got?
So-
What's it got in it? What's that new engine that you're going to be putting in there? Like,
It's a small block Chevy.
well, then why?
What do you mean?
Why are you changing it? It's the same thing.
Oh, it's a 305 right now.
Oh, so you're gaining 45 cubic inches.
45 cubic inches.
There it is. Woo! That's what he tells the ladies.
I'll take all the cubic inches I can get.
That's definitely what she said. Tell me about Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus.
Jesus Christ, not again.
Dude, okay, let me preface.
I didn't prep him at all, by the way.
No, you didn't. Hottest chick I've ever seen in my life.
There you go.
Fucking period. I am in love with my wife. My wife, to me, is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in reality.
Yeah.
Mrs. Frizzle, for those of you that don't know, is a cartoon character. But again, before I talk about how hot Mrs. Frizzle is, let me preface this with, my wife was so hot with the night I met her. I was walking like from point A to point B. She was so hot, she caught the corner of my eye. I stopped dead in my freaking tracks and immediately went over there and started talking to her because she was that hot.
Right.
Mrs. Frizzle, like that times 10. And the fact, I'm not sure what attracts me to Mrs. Frizzle more, the fact that she's fucking banging hot, or the fact that she's a teacher, so I know like I'm gonna get benefits, I'm gonna get healthcare paid for. She makes a lot of money. Like
She's got that iguana.
holy shit, man! It would be like the kids meet your new mom, Mrs. Frazzle. By the way, you're all getting A's. Right?
I mean, what? They don't think they ever explain on the show the iguana that's just on her shoulder like all the time. Like,
Yeah, she's a teacher, man.
so they just have iguanas.
Hey, look, in the schools in my head, all teachers have some kind of reptile with them at all times.
we had a long conversation in the last episode about things like this, and I kept thinking, I wish Will was here to help me out and defend me on this, because I think he thinks about it the same way I do. Like, you kind of imagine the personification of the cartoon a little bit in real life, and I feel like just people with more active imaginations and or higher IQ levels like ourselves.
Right, yes.
You mean
Just-
like you?
Well, I mean, if you're on the Miss Frazzle boat, I mean, I can't. That says everything I need to know. So I'm glad that somebody else is on Team Frazzle with me. I don't think I'm at the same level you're on, but
Team
That's all I think
Frazzle.
about. So,
wow, okay. So I guess we can get back to the point of the show, which is talking about cars.
oh shit!
well,
Too
let's-
bad I was looking for.
Okay, I have
Frazzle.
a car situational. I was thinking about this.
I was going to talk about the beer real quick, but go ahead.
Oh, you're talking about the beer?
Are you sure? Okay. So this time we're going to get right back to producer Matt's question, but I want to take a quick break. And we're not sponsored by anybody. We just buy beer that we like, and we're trying different stuff. And by all means, if you want to sponsor us and send us beer, we are open to it. But we got this time is we have Taps, Fish House and Brewery. We have the Hogtied Amber Ale, which we got a growler of a couple days ago. We opened it up here, tried it out there. My wife Kaylee and I liked it. Has a hint of caramel, a hint of chocolate is what their menu said. I can definitely taste it. I'm liking this. I'm thinking it's great.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, for a
I'm a
guy
fan.
like myself that does not like light beer.
Dark beer.
Dark
You like
beer?
light
I'm
beer.
sorry, dark beer.
You love the light
How
beer.
many of these have I had?
Your favorite beer is Budweiser.
One and a half.
What
You've
is-
had
I
one and a
drink,
half.
Yeah, I drink Budweiser and I drink Miller Low Life. That's it. I mean, that's all
There
I
you
drink.
go.
And I don't like this type of beer, but it's gone down pretty easy. Right.
Matt, your car question?
Yeah. please.
Okay, so this is a hypothetical.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, so
When you masturbate and drive,
That's a different kind of grabbing gears.
Okay, so hypothetical. The government says you're only allowed to have one car for the rest of your life.
For you as a person, or you as a family?
You
Okay.
as a person. Okay. What is it?
No problem.
Man, so here's what I would do. I'd get Kaylee the practical car, and she wouldn't have a choice in this. I would say,
Genius. I didn't think about exploiting your wife.
yeah, no, I'd probably get her a Charger RT or something cool like that. Because she's something she'd be all right with. She'd get I'd probably give her a list of a few cars, and then she could pick from that. She gets to control the house. It's whatever. I get the car situation. You know what? And my car, honest to God, and this is assuming that I can put some money into it and that kind of stuff.
Money's not an option.
No, what do you mean money's not an option?
Money is not an option. So like you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
Honest to God,
But you own the car for the rest of your life.
I would probably pick the Cordoba, and I would put a Hellcat engine in it with air conditioning, a nice paint job, and drop it off at an interior shop for a few months.
There you go.
And that would probably be the one. Fuel injected, probably get decent horsepower. I'd get her probably
Decent, like 700.
707. I'd do some other stuff here and there. But the thing about it is the Hellcat motor would be the expensive part of that. In the realm of realism, I'd probably put a 5.7 Hemi in it, right. Which is not that bad. And I'd probably get her Charger RT, or if we could afford it, an SRT. You could have a Grand Cherokee SRT. She's sitting there giving
Matt said the government's picking up the tab on this. Is that correct?
Yeah, money's no option.
Money's no object. Yeah, government picking up the tab.
Fuck. Well, that changes
Thanks, Obama.
I thought it was something that I could afford. Okay. You only said it 10 times.
Yeah, right.
William?
Yeah, I'm still pretty much on that.
Me? Well, I play this game all the time. What car would I have if I had unlimited funds? And
keep in mind, you're driving this for the rest of your life.
I'm really happy with the Firebird.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'd keep it forever.
Change some things in it. Put like an LS9 or something in it.
You know what? Part of the appeal of that car is that I've built it. And people, like you said, people really are drawn to that car. And when I first got that car, everybody hated it. And I built that car.
It was fucking awful when you got it.
With parts that nobody else wanted. Like the guy that I bought all my parts from, Trans Am Omar in Santa Ana. That
Trans Am Walmart.
Trans Am Omar, which I'm going to tell him about this podcast. That guy's like the coolest guy. And if you have a 73 81 F body, Trans Am Omar is the man. He really is. But basically, I built that car with all the parts. Like he couldn't fucking sell it to anybody else. So he'd call me up and be like, "Hey, this is what I got. No one else wants it because it's beat."
Yeah.
The motor that's in it that I built for it, I mean, that's out of a Tiltmaster at work. It grenaded. It lost number 7 rod. Oh. And I said, "Oh yeah, that's a candidate for my car."
I will tell you, I drove your car a few times when my brother was working on it, and there are parts of that car I absolutely love. Such things are super quirky, like the metal around the shifter. Oh, I love that. It's just sheet metal with stickers all over it, but there's no metal left. Like it's all sticker covered. It looks freaking bitchin'.
Thank you.
I want that car to be parked here for about a week so I can fix. And it's all driver stuff related. I'm not talking about like fixing the motor or like fixing this. It's all seating position, which I think my brother fixed a little bit of. The clutch throw, the shifter itself. Like I want to make that feel like a driver's car should feel. And
instead of the cavalcade of junkyard parts and shit nobody else wanted.
And I don't think it's necessarily the parts. It's things like, and I'm going to be a little offensive to you. I'm sure some of the stuff's probably stuff you did.
You've already offended me about the
way the seats are mounted, and I don't know if they're still mounted that way, kept me up at night because you had a bolt through the floor, which I've done that. I've done worse things in my life. So I'm just talking shit at this point. You had a bolt through the floor with a spacer on it, just into the seat, and to get that tilt.
Well, I made that.
Yeah, I know. I'm very much aware. And I mean, granted, yeah, you got to bolt your at some point or other, the seat's got to be bolted to the car. Right. But what I wanted on there, what I was going to do is I was going to get you some cheap seat sliders off of the eBays, and I was going to bolt them to the ground and then bolt those to your seats so that it wouldn't be on a retarded angle, and I would get it so that I hate your seats. Just maybe they like you. Maybe you like them.
The seats are like the best part of that car.
I am notorious for being the eBay fiend with seats.
Wait, 1 second. You hate the seats before or after your brother broke it?
I didn't know my brother broke it.
You broke the fucking side bolster on the driver's side.
Well, maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm a fiend of buying those $200 for a set of seats on eBay that I know if you get in a car accident, it is going to disassemble.
Gonna die.
But they're so good when you're sitting in it and before you crash, it's just like I'm all held in. The seating position is great. I hate cushion on seats. I hate sitting into a seat and sinking down into it in a car that's designed to go around a corner.
All that comfort.
That's the thing is it's short-term comfort, but long-term, if you have a seat you sit down in, your muscles are holding you up. The seat isn't. It'll actually wear you out more. So that's why if you look at any race car, there's minimal padding, and it's mostly for heat insulation. And that's why almost every car I get, like, I wish you could see it, but like my Corolla, if you look at it, look how much lower the driver's seat is than the passenger seat.
Right, it's like a rally car.
You want
lower center ground.
I wanted my eyes at steering wheel level. And that's because I hate sitting on top of a car, and I hate sitting kind of like in the cushions of a seat. I want to sit in a metal seat, and I want to be on the freaking floor with suspension that's got like 1.5 inches of travel, and that's it.
But that's one of the things. That's specifically why I asked your brother to take a look at that. And for those of you guys that are watching the show and you're going to say, oh, president of a car club doesn't work on his own shit. I do work on my own shit. I work on my own shit, and I fix my pool at the same time. But your brother was out of a job. Yeah, your brother was like, oh, shit, like I need to make some money. I had some money, and I said, hey, Mike, if you want, this is a list of shit I need done with the car.
Yeah, that's different. You have a full-time job.
Right.
He didn't at the time. So you
just lost it. Right. So I was trying to help him.
So yeah, you were cutting him some slack. It's stuff that you didn't have time to do. And yeah, I mean, we've all been there. I mean, Lord knows, like I do most amount of work on my cars, but there's usually guidance of somebody standing over my shoulder. Yeah. Because I know what I'm trying to accomplish. I usually don't know the path on how to get there.
Sure.
But there's one thing I'm pretty confident about. And that's like how a driver should sit in a car. And I would offer this service to anybody. If anybody has a performance car and you come to my house and you say Growler Garage, I will fix your seating position. I will make
Growler Garage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cars right out there.
Yo, Pat, I just want to say, dude, I pay for my cabin air filters to get put in, bro. I don't even know. I don't do that shit. Just
real life, I paid for my cabin filter to be replaced in my Focus.
That's like the biggest scam. There's not a cabin filter, man.
There is a cabin filter.
There is a cabin filter.
Let me tell you something. For somebody that only drives vintage vehicles, there's no cabin filters.
Right.
Okay,
well, there was a cabin
exist.
filter.
Not in that car.
It's government conspiracy. It's like the moon landing, man. There's no cabin filters. It's only a vehicle for Jiffy Lube to friggin' butt fuck.
My car gets free oil changes. I drive a Focus ST every day is what I drive, and I love that car. It gets free oil changes for life at the Ford dealership that I bought it from. They're the most expensive free oil changes I've ever had in my life. Because I got to pay a disposal fee, I got to pay for the filter, and I got to pay for the tax. So it's like $26 for a free oil change.
Nothing's for free.
And I'm like, what?
You could almost do it yourself for that much.
I could totally. Well, not the oil. I'd end up buying the VR1 like synthetic high zinc formula like I put in that car. That's bright blue when you pour it in, and then it finds every leak imaginable because synthetic oil loves to just find leaks. If anybody noticed on the intro to
Don't do it.
I'm doing it.
You're giving it away.
On the intro to this video, there's these oil spots on the ground that were just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And
there's a trail from the street all the way up the driveway into the garage.
And it appeared that day, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why? And by the end of it, that car was dumping oil. Didn't stop me from doing a giant burnout on 4th of July in the garage, but I digress.
Why would it?
Of course not. So it was dumping seriously. If I kept it running and I was driving the car, I was probably dumping half a quart every 5 minutes.
Which is probably why you were able to do a burnout that day on 4th of July.
It was a pool that poured water all over it. Right. And what it turned out is that where the oil filter screws onto the block, there's that metal plate, on a small block Chrysler. Okay. Somebody that will remain nameless told me, because my rebuild kit didn't have the gasket for that in it. And he goes, you know what, you're fine. Put RTV there. You'll be fine.
Oh, fuck, who told you put RTV there?
And I'm like, yeah, it'll probably be... And I'm like, yeah, that'll probably be fine. That makes sense. And I didn't realize how thick that gasket actually is. Yeah. It's freaking probably 1/8 of an inch thick.
Oh, at least.
And
wow,
RTV, you just
thick.
cannot
build up like that.
It's a non-squishy at all. It's like a piece of cork, like cardboard almost. Yeah. And so it was fine, but that leak was developing and developing and developing. When I put the synthetic in it, it ripped. I don't know what it was, but it found that hole and it poured out. Yeah. So my dad and I are sitting in this garage a couple weeks ago, and first thing is I take the oil. I obviously immediately assume that there's something wrong with the oil filter because it's leaking out of the oil filter. I'm like, maybe I accidentally didn't get the gasket off, or maybe I didn't lubricate this one enough.
Or two gaskets.
Yeah, and I'm like, there's got to be that issue. So I changed the oil filter, same thing, and I went, what the fuck? So I change the oil filter and it leaks again. I'm like, okay, now what? So I call my dad. I'm like, what else can be leaking there? He goes, it's the gasket underneath. I went, no. It's definitely not the gasket.
Because there is no gasket.
Right. You mean all that RTV I built up?
And he goes, And he goes, how do you know? I'm like, I can see it leaking down the oil filter. And he's like, well, run your finger on it. I said, I did. There's no oil there. He goes, it's not doing it in the place you think it is, and it's just running down. It's doing this elaborate path down to the oil filter. And I went, fine. So he comes over. I was like, I got it. And he comes over. And
your dad's such a good guy, too. Your dad is. I just picture your dad coming over, too.
he came over, and we take the plate off, and he goes, who told you to put our TV there? And I'm like, well, And he goes, and say no more. And he goes, and I'm like, didn't you? And he goes, no. And I went, well, it leaves one other person. And so we take it all apart, we scrape it, and we go searching through friggin' all these stores to find.
Yeah, it's not an easy gasket to get.
It's not. Small block Chryslers, I guess, don't need that gasket very often these days. Not a lot of small block Chrysler engines floating around anymore. So luckily there's a 24-hour AutoZone up the street, which is right here, which is nice.
A 24-hour AutoZone?
Yeah, the one in Anaheim.
That's
incredible.
idea.
Oh, it's the best AutoZone on the planet. They actually have employees that know what things are.
Whoa. What's the cross streets on that one?
God, I think it's I'm botching it.
La Palma and Magnolia?
God, I don't know. I don't know.
If it's that one, that's the one that had the alternator for the MG.
What?
Oh my God. MG parts at an AutoZone?
An alternator for a 1275 MG midget. That's
right. Wow.
This is the one that's across.
Which didn't come with the pulley, by the way.
Oh, I know. You know what? I don't know whose idea it is to like pull the pulleys off these things or sell them without a pulley.
Or like power steering pumps always don't have pulleys.
Yeah, it's like, are you kidding me? What the hell do you expect me to do with this?
This one I think is across the street from Tops, I want to say.
Tops?
Tops, speed. They don't have shit there. They've got all the. It's basically the Pep Boys Speed Zone section or whatever.
Which I'm impressed with the Pep Boys Speed Zone.
Oh, the ones that actually have the speed shop. Yeah, no, I'm talking about the old style one where it's got Spectre valve covers and stuff. Right. That's all that Tops seems to ever have. And then all the friggin' head gaskets for a Chevy you can imagine. Like when I owned my Laguna, that place was a godsend because I'm like, all right, I need to achieve exactly 9.8 to 1 compression. I need a head gasket exactly the right thickness. Totally did my math wrong and got that car at like 10.6 to 1. It needed to run up. We run into, I don't know if you know this, but we ran that car at 30 degrees of advance all the time because it pinged so bad.
Yeah.
I put avgas in it one time and put it to 36 like it should be.
Yeah.
And that car was retarded. Like that was the only time that car ever ran proper.
Retarded with all the teal piping in it? Yes, it was retarded.
Wait. The teal piping swivel seats.
Yeah, swivel seats. Swivel seats is legit GM.
Got rid of those.
Teal piping, I just don't think.
I got rid of the boat interior.
The boat interior.
I've had 2 cars with boat interior. That and my 914.
I remember when you bought that car.
Right. Oh God, I drove it home and the steering wheel was so sticky I had to wear gloves.
I was in the car with you.
I
found this car in a not a junkyard, as a used car lot where their backyard is nothing.
Isn't that every used car lot is not a junkyard?
No, this one was exceptionally
bad.
bad.
CarMax, I feel like that's not a junkyard.
This one was exceptionally bad.
Yeah, this one's actually pretty awesome because they have nothing but old cars in the back rotting away into the ground.
Really?
This one ran, which was amazing. It had a rust hole. I think you remember from the C-pillar that was that.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
It was that big, and all the water ran down and created a rust hole that big in the quarter panel. And I still paid $2,400 for that car.
Well bought too.
Yeah, right.
I think it was.
I drove it home, which was cool. Had a 400 small block in it.
Dude.
And
you remember that when you got that freaking thing where a Jack in the Box with your brother? It was like on New Year's Day, and it's like for those of you there that don't know the Britton brothers, I mean, oh my God, these guys are fucking maniacs behind the wheel. It's like Burnout. Why not? Jack in the Box drive-through. Why not?
Perfect time.
I don't remember this at all.
Oh my God. Oh, you don't remember the...
I mean, I think
you
I did.
stole my sweater. You're stretching that out, Fatty. God.
I used that line a couple of times.
Oh my God. Well, we're Jack in the Box. And again, man, it's like New Year's Day or something. Really early in the morning.
Yeah.
Must have been before I got married. You had this thing, and it's like, we're sitting inside, and me and your brother sit inside. You're like, oh, I'm going to go home. You go home, and you park it like right in front of the Jack in the Box drive-thru with like the window, and just... I mean, just start like smoking the freaking tires, and it's like filling up the inside of the Jack in the Box. And me and your brother are like, oh! You know, we're all laughing, and then you just take off. Take off out of the parking lot. You and your brother will lay tire wherever. I remember one time me and your brother were on our way out to Palm Desert when I lived out there. And he was so upset the girl at this gas station wouldn't sell him cigarettes. Oh, shit. We were in his 240.
Yeah,
and he's
what
like,
was it? He had like a paper ID or something?
a paper ID,
and they wouldn't sell him
He
cigarettes.
had the license to back it up.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that should have been legal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely should have been legal. But this chick was a bitch. And actually, the problem was, I'm going to go out and say, it's a Chevron off Green River Road. Man, that chick is a bitch. I mean, this is years ago, but given what she looked like, I'm sure she's still working there. She was such a bitch. And when he left, I tried to buy the cigarettes. And I said, a pack of whatever it is your brother smokes.
Yeah.
Camel Lights, whatever. And she goes, are they for him? And I was like, oh, fucking, how dare you? And she goes, I'm not going to sell them to you. And I was like, fuck, whatever. So we get in the car, right? I mean, it's a gas station. People, there were families getting gas. And I'll never forget, there's like this minivan. They had the side door open. There's all these kids are like dancing around. Yay! Your brother's like, get in the car. Gets in the car.
Let's put it in perspective real quick. This was in a Z, right?
In a Z.
His 240Z that has the 2.8 liter swapped into it with a 5-speed. But this thing gutted.
Oh, it weighs nothing.
I mean, you talk about gutted. And I want you to understand what you were thinking when I say gutted is not what this car is.
Didn't he take the inner door?
Oh yeah,
out
he saws off. He die grinded out the inner. Is literally door skins on the car.
Right.
Door handles are too heavy, so he has zip ties as door handles. I mean, you take the Colin Chapman school of thinking, and you multiply it by 1 million.
That's your brother.
My brother, if he existed in the '60s, I'm convinced would have won Formula One races as a constructor, but murdered 50 people a year. Well, I mean, he would have put bolts that are drilled so that they're lighter, and they would have just failed like on the suspension, and they would have just died. And like, well, next driver, I would have died because I'd be driving it.
One thing about your brother, and I know he crewed a lot of cars that you raced. Your brother is so genius, and he crewed the car that I raced that I bought from you guys. He has always said, driver safety takes a second to winning races.
Yeah, absolutely.
Period. But that's how you have to. That's how you have to be.
You let the rules
fantastic motto.
The rules determine how safe that driver has to be.
Right.
The driver's personal gear is on them.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe it was him who told me at some point you should consider wearing an open face helmet because it weighs less.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But that's the type of thinker that your brother is. And when your brother's motivated to do something, he really does it well. When he's not motivated to do something, he does not do it
So
well.
he was motivated to do this burnout at the gas station.
Oh, this is all I remember. So again, kids, families, and this is like, I'm sure I'm glorifying this for media, but this was like a family of Mormons. They were all singing. They're like, I remember like a girl, she was like dancing,
Singing
like little
singing show tunes.
little, like ribbon flying around. And your brother's like, get in the car. Like, okay, get in the car. Fucking thing, he like winds this thing up, and just sidesteps the clutch. I mean, and this thing, and then he hits the brakes. So we're just brake standing this thing. And I mean, it's like, and these kids are like, and the father is like, everybody in the van. And your brother is just scowling.
And this thing sounds like a rally when it's tacked up. It sounds like a WRC car just bouncing off the revel. And it's like, and then he sidesteps it, and it's just instant everywhere.
Oh yeah, and I mean we're fucking filling this thing up with smoke. I mean the whole thing, and he just left on it. And then we're bailing out to get on the freeway, and there's a cop getting off at Green River, right? So I tell your brother, hey, 5-0, right? What's your brother do? Fucking just pins it and goes. Takes off. There's a whole ass down the freeway. It's like, oh shit.
There's two things that reminds me of. One of which is when he was in high school, he was with my cousin. He had his Charger at the time. The 71 Charger, 383. It was probably about 400 horse, I would think. Pretty warmed up. He did a burnout so big in the parking lot. I don't think he had a reason. I think he just wanted to do a burnout that day.
Yeah, right.
That the fire department
There's never a reason.
The fire department showed up because they thought the school was on fire. He smoked out I think he had to buy new tires the next day, and he had just gotten those. Like, he destroyed the tires in one burnout, I want to say. Him and my cousin were in the car, and he pulled it straight. I always knew something had gone down when he called me ahead of time and said, open the gate.
Oh, yeah, open the gate.
And then he would drive it straight in the backyard and turn around behind the house so that you couldn't see the car. And I learned that trick.
Next to the llama?
Yeah, next to the llama. And that trick saved my ass a time or two. Sure. There's that, and there's the time where we were in Silverado Canyon, allegedly, and we were throwing die-cast cars out the window.
Oh my god!
And, I mean, we were honestly like, "What's wrong with that?" We were picking the car up. We spent $12 at Hobby People for some die-cast cars, and we were being destructive of them. Big deal. Somebody calls the cops on us for doing this, even though we're picking up our trash.
And you know what would have happened? Nothing.
I know. But my brother sees him coming. The guy turns in front and he goes, all right, and goes around him in the dirt in his Pontiac Grand Prix, allegedly.
Oh, yeah, the Grand Prix.
And
I think we were 13 or 14 at
yeah,
this
we were
point.
pretty young. He was like 17.
So I'm terrified.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Matt's in the back.
Terrified.
Matt's in the back, like laying down. And I mean, my
oh
brother's
my
at
God, I'm
full
gonna die.
song
I'm
driving this V6 Pontiac with a stick shift, the Richard Petty edition 92 Grand Prix.
Your brother's a fucking maniac.
And I'm usually faster at most things that we do when it comes to driving than my brother is.
Don't tell him.
I am fairly positive that in that situation, there is no way I could have gotten that car through the canyon faster. Even me right now, I'm pretty damn sure that he has never driven a more perfect race in his life than getting away from these cops that weren't chasing us.
You know, you want to know like the funniest part about all that is it wasn't actually the cops.
Oh, it was Rangers, right?
It was the Forest Service.
It's Forest Service.
You know, those Forest Service.
And they were in a truck.
Right, when there's a serious crime, like throwing out die-cast cars, they will dispatch anybody
That's right.
to that scene. Right?
Yes.
So,
The last thing I want to touch on, and we're running out of time, but I want to touch on this.
that's heartbreaking.
I know. I want to touch on this. Is you mentioned it earlier, is you bought 2 Mustangs from me.
oh, right.
You bought, I think they were both 84s.
Two of the best cars I've ever had.
One was a street car. It was a Mustang GT Turbo, which is not the same thing as a Mustang SVO.
No,
It is
not
An SVO is a way better car.
Whoa.
Bigger brakes.
I disagree.
So, at the time, the Mustang GTs were very neutered because they were V8s at the time. They didn't have big brakes. They had 4-bolt wheels. It was real.
That one was still neutered.
Right. So the SVO, they put all the good shit on that they wanted to put on the V8, and they put it with a turbo 4-cylinder. The Turbo GT was the mixture of both, where they put the turbo motor in without even an intercooler on it in the V8 car. And that was that. So that car, I bought that when you reminded me of this earlier, when you said you intercepted the car from pick apart. I literally did that on this car.
right.
I showed up at the guy's house as he was about to drive it to pick apart because he couldn't figure out why the engine didn't run. And it ran, but it ran like shit. And what I found on it is that the tube there's a rubber tube that's supposed to connect the intercooler that he put on this car off of a Turbo Coupe Thunderbird. There's supposed to be a rubber tube that connects that to the intake manifold, so that you get boost and so that your intake works. There wasn't one.
Okay.
It was just sitting there. And I saw that and I played it. I was like, oh, yeah, no. I don't know why it's not running. It probably needs like a new ECU or you threw a rod or something. Like just throwing bullshit at him. And I said, what's pick apart going to give you for it? And he says, $300. I said, hey, I'll give you $300 and I'll tell you I'm not going to destroy the car. I'm going to fix it up. I'm going to figure out what's wrong with it. And it was like 7 different colors.
I hope that guy's watching Growler.
I hope so.
Just being like, that motherfucker.
And I paid him $300.
I knew it.
I drove it home. And it wouldn't rev above $2,000. I'm limping the thing home with expired tags and everything. I get it home. I get the tags fixed. I buy the correct, tube for it. I cut the exhaust clean off the car and put a straight pipe out the side with a
Yes,
back.
you did.
because why not?
Right.
Yeah, right.
And we took it to get it smogged to register it. And the guy's like, this isn't where the exhaust came out. And we're like, oh, no, yeah, it did. This is a Turbo GT. It was custom. And he goes, all right. So he puts a stiffer in it doesn't pass. So what we do the next time
Weird.
is we
Yeah, right.
what we do the next time is we put seafoam in it and do all the tricks. Like we Googled how to pass smog once, and all the tricks. And it legitimately passed. Wouldn't have passed the next day.
I wouldn't say legitimately.
It passed. I didn't pay the guy off. I didn't lie to him, except for the exhaust. It was. I had
Except the one thing he was going to fail me on, I lied about that. But everything
it was
else,
good.
was
But the best thing about that car is because I had no muffler, no cat, no nothing, is that if you got the shift just right and you rev match it just perfect, it would shoot a nice big ass blue flame out of it.
Nice.
It would.
And
would.
that car was awesome. I sold it to you a few months later. I don't remember why I got rid of it, but
Because you knew it was on borrowed time. That would be my initial guess.
didn't you sell to some kid after
I
that?
did. Oh, man. First of all, that was like one of the best cars I ever owned.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was. I love that car. But man, this kid was so hot for that car, man. He had like his mom. He was like, Mama, you won't believe this thing. And his mom was like, well, it's a turbo. Like, I don't know.
135 horsepower.
It's like, whoa, sweetheart. Like, I assure you. Like,
I raced
there's
my
nothing
friend's.
to worry about.
I raced my friend's Titan, and that Titan waxed me.
Oh, those Titans are fast.
They are. I mean, it's like it's a high 14-second truck, but I mean, Huh.
Well, I remember what you said, why you sold it. You were like, oh, I put all this money into it. And then I was racing Kaylee's Lexus. And Kaylee's Lexus waxed me, so I'm like, fuck it. I was like, oh, yeah, all right. Like, this is the car for me.
3-liter Camry with gold badges.
But at the time,
down Bond, our drag strip.
Good old Bond, which is no longer a thing.
I know. They made it 2 lanes, and I'm convinced that's because of us.
Oh, I guarantee you it's
it
because
used to be 2 lanes on each side, and it was a quarter mile if you didn't count braking zones.
Right, okay,
so we would just sail it through the stop sign.
No, I guarantee you it was because of us.
Oh, because there was a point where there's one more part of this we got to tell. So I got to hurry here because we're really running out of time. But there was a point where our buddy had a GTO, you had the Dart, I had the Laguna. Another buddy had a Camaro Z28. I don't hesitate to call him a buddy. So we were literally hooking up the G-Tech Pros every night.
The standard of performance.
And we were testing and tuning every night. And I remember getting my buddy's GTO into the 12s once, according to the G-Tech, and being just stoked.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was the LS1 GTO, so it wasn't even the good one. We put tuner, header, exhaust, and an intake on. And we got that thing to run a 12.9 according to the G-Tech. He couldn't drive worth a shit, though. So we never really found out what it would actually do in a proper drag strip. But
we took it to Auto Club.
Yeah, but he can't drive.
Yeah.
He would just
He ran
up
what?
to 8 and just dump
he
it.
ran 14 something.
Is there any other way to drive?
Oh, not really.
Which, by the way, as the Britain, I know we're out of time or whatever.
It's fine.
But I got to say, one of the best quotes I ever heard was, with the car club, we're constantly debating things.
Yeah. And
at one time we were debating Holly carburetors. And your brother was so upset because he's like, oh, Holly. And I love Hollies because it's the only thing I know how to rebuild. Like, I can't even tie my fucking shoes, but I can rebuild a Holly carburetor. Your brother hates them.
Yeah, because it spills gas all over the intake whenever you take the floats off.
So your brother goes, Holly carburetors.
Float bowl, sorry.
They're only good at full throttle. And Patrick goes, is there any other way to drive? And it was like, I guess so.
Yeah, my Laguna had a Holly on it because why do I care how it runs if it's not at full throttle?
Right, exactly.
That reminded me when I was just talking about the GTO and all that stuff. I was going to mention at the beginning of the show because I figured you'd be calling me not by my name throughout the whole show, and you actually haven't, so it's worked out. Usually you call me T, which is short for T-Murder.
Right, I do.
And I want to know if you remember why you call me T-Murder.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, good.
Of course. Because that guy you killed.
Right. So
allegedly.
So the car club, pretty much nobody goes by their real name except for Will. For some reason, just nothing sticks with Will. I don't know why that is. We've tried, nothing works. But they call me T-Murder, and that's because, and it's like that's my name. Nobody calls me Pat or Patrick in that car club except my brother. Right. Like, and that's it. Everybody else calls me T or T-Murder. Right. And what that is I used to have a 300ZX.
See, altitude. I can barely breathe up here.
An 84 300ZX that I later sold to Matt's dad, Chuck, which he was stoked about. Loved that car. I loved it. That was a great car. I drove to San Jose to bring it home and drove it home. It overheated on the Grapevine on the way home. The digital dash started flickering, so I'm like, is it overheating? I don't know. But that car, there was a movie that's still on YouTube, a movie that came out right around the time the first Fast and the Furious came out.
Best movie I've ever seen.
Called The Street Racing Chronicles. And
best movie I've ever seen.
And the guy drives a 300ZX that is identical to my car.
Right.
Oh, really?
It was the same car.
Same color and everything?
Same color, same everything. And you could tell this movie was legit because he hooks up his G-Tech Pro and he ran exactly the same time that my car ran with my G-Tech Pro hooked up.
Nice.
And I went, oh shit, this movie's, and you were watching it with me and my brother at my house, and he went, this is you. And you decided you were going to start calling me T-Murder because that was the guy's name in the movie.
Right.
Because he was supposed to be this.
Because that was Yates can't hang.
Right. At the beginning, he's just like Vanilla Ice gangster guy, and he's like just talking shit on everything. And his.
You remember the name of the car club he joined at the end?
I don't.
Oh, what?
I don't.
Team Scion Redline Illusions was what he joined at the end. But what was so great about Street Racing Chronicles is, those guys were car guys. You could tell that they were car, and they had heard that shit from racers for so long. Oh, well, it's the altitude. Oh, 14.9. Oh, that's fast on the street. It's like, fuck, I heard all that shit.
Yeah. No, that's the thing is he runs the 14.9 or whatever at the beginning, and he does all the. It's slower than that. He was like a 16. He does all this shit. He does an intake like the Spectre intake that you build yourself, and like the cone filter, and he gets in it and it's like 2/10 slower.
Yeah, right.
And his buddy's in the passenger seat, and he's like, "No, bro, it's the altitude up here. I can barely breathe up here." It's all these excuses rices.
Right.
And it's just like, that was at the time where ricers were still a thing. Like, it's become not really a thing anymore.
Yeah, because they're all fast as shit.
Yeah, now they all have the money to buy STIs and shit.
Right, they're all running like, deep 12s, high 11s. And it's
Right, our fucking V8s can't even come close to hanging anymore.
Right.
Because anybody who has any money has either like a Camaro that's like built to shit like a new one, or a Challenger, or like the new 5 liters that run a 12.8 from the factory.
Oh, I know, it's ridiculous.
And the STIs are like, they're slower now, like a 13.3.
Right.
And it's like, God, like if that Cordoba gets in the 13, like a 13.999, I'll be so stoked.
Oh yeah, you'd be doing a Carl Edwards freaking backflip off the doors.
Yeah, I'll break my neck straight up doing it. Like,
Drop you on that stack of dimes you call a neck.
there it is. So there's there's so much more I want to talk about. I'd love to do a second episode down the road, and I want to do one where we get like almost like the whole, like not the whole car club, but several members and have like
Nothing will get done.
a committee episode. But I want to thank a couple people before we go on. Taps for making a great beer. Didn't sponsor us, but still, it's gone really well for us. We have a lot of cool merchandise up on growlergarage.net, which is obviously our website, and there you can see some of it soon. There it is.
Oh, there you go.
Our burnouts and burnouts and burnouts and burnouts.
Which is so fitting for you guys too.
And then our license plate frame, the grabbing gears and drinking beers. Obviously, we always say it on the show, never at the same time. That is so important. Like I always am paranoid that people are going to get it confused that I'm promoting getting drunk and driving your car.
Oh, why would they think that with grabbing gears and drinking beers?
Maybe or
but not at the same time.
Maybe maybe I should have used or.
I mean, it's like the Volkswagen thing, sign and drive.
Yeah.
It's like, well, sign then drive. It should be, which I don't know how much better this is. Grabbing gears then drinking beers.
I mean, maybe.
Or I prefer, drinking beers then grabbing beers.
Oh, see, that's the idea, right? It's kind of like the best of it is you're either grabbing gears in your car having fun, or you're at home drinking beers talking about how you're grabbing gears. And that's kind of the idea behind that. But growlergarage.net, as you can see there, is where you can find all the merchandise, all the episodes. That's where everything there is to be found is on growlergarage.net. We're on iTunes, of course. We had a little bit of a spat at iTunes, took us down for a minute, brought us back up. It should all be good now. So if any of you subscribe to the old show, well, I don't know why I'm telling you. You're probably not even seeing this one. But if you stumble on it, resubscribe. If it doesn't say Growler Garage OC, you are on the wrong one. We added the OC for Orange County, which is just there to help differentiate, so there's less confusion. I know it sounds confusing, but believe me, from my perspective, it's a lot easier. Growler Garage, if you search for it on iTunes, there's only one. You will find it, I promise. So unless you're a diehard from the beginning, don't even worry about it. And if you are, you've probably found us anyways. Growler Garage.net, we are on Twitter at Growler Garage OC, because there's a shit ass who's camping on Growler Garage that won't give it to us. Doesn't use it, but yet Twitter doesn't do anything because we don't have the name trademarked. And so there's nothing we can do about it. So Growler Garage OC is our Twitter handle.
Get your brother on him.
Sick
All my legal advice, www.mikebritton.com, www.harveybirdman/mikebritton.com.net.
My brother learned everything he needs to know about law from the show Harvey Birdman, attorney at law that nobody remembers from Adult Swim.
Right.
And he had a cat named Shadow that was his financial panther.
God, your brother and cats. God. And he kicked that kitty cat door into his freaking bedroom. It's like, oh, the cats have to be able to get in.
So there was a hole in his door so that the cats could get in and out because he kicked it open. That's not why that happened, but it worked.
Oh, no, that's when I tell the story. Just like the mannequin of your father.
Right, there was. So there's all kinds of cool shit on Growler Garage, on our Facebook, on our Twitter. Taps, getting us the beer. They didn't support us anyway, but they're hopefully down the road they will.
So Taps, if you're listening,
yeah,
it's great beer.
It is.
Yeah, and the food there,
quality.
I mean, the food there is excellent.
I actually live right across the street from a Taps.
There's one right here too. The only two locations. One's across from you.
Three.
Oh,
That's true. There's one by me in Irvine.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's Irvine now. The Irvine's the new one.
Oh, that must be new because on the back of the bottle here it says Brea and Corona. So all of us in this MW podcast family all live next to a Tap, so that's cool. So Taps making a good beer. They didn't give it to us, so that'd be nice. And then of
Maybe
course
the next one.
Our only actual sponsor, and it's barely a sponsor, is Pop Quiz Trivia. They it's kind of a mutual promotion thing. It's what we call marketing in the biz. Pop Quiz Trivia, if you're anywhere in Southern California, check out their website. They do trivia all over the place. It's a ton of fun. That's where we get the ideas for our 0 to 60 questions.
What is their website?
It's Pop Quiz Trivia, or excuse me, they haven't changed it yet, I want to say. So let me double check that before I get too carried away, because they used to be called OC Pop Quiz. and it is still ocpopquiz.com. You guys probably should get on that. So it's ocpopquiz.com is their website. They've also got a Facebook. They do really good work over there. Doug over there is basically a full-time trivia dude now, which is pretty awesome. He's a beer expert. Beer Paper LA is his project. You saw him on here a couple weeks ago.
He's the general manager of Beer Paper LA.
He is the general manager of Beer Paper LA. He's the co-founder of Pop Quiz Trivia. These are all the locations they have. If you can't see that, there's like 11 locations.
They can't see any of those.
Okay, that's fine. You can see it. It takes up the whole screen. Anywhere in Southern California, ranging from Huntington Beach to Anaheim Hills, Placentia, Seal Beach, Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, Santa Ana. They're everywhere. So check them out. They really do good work. They have a lot of fun. There's they even have I don't think she worked. I don't see her name on here anymore. There used to be a girl that.
Wait, are we talking about Taps or Pop Quiz Trivia? Oh, okay.
There used to be a girl on there that was on. That's a reality show star that used to be on like Road Rules. Her name's Sarah, and that was kind of fun to kind of ask. She knows the wrestler named The Miz, so I'd always ask like, did you talk to The Miz? Like how's he doing? And like she'd be like, I don't know him that well. Stop asking me. And I was kind of fucking with her, but I don't see her name on here anymore, so I totally just promoted somebody that doesn't work for them anymore. But she's cool, so maybe find her on Twitter. I don't know her last name, so that doesn't help anybody at all. But Pop Quiz Trivia does
Sarah, that narrows it down.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think I knew a Sarah once.
Right.
All right.
So that's super fun. Will, our guest on this one, if you have a car pre-smog or older,
pre-smog American powered.
I guess it can't be older than pre-smog. So it's got to be American powered. So that's the key, right? Is it can be American an MG, powered. It could be a Triumph, but if it's got an American engine, it doesn't even have to be a V8. Anything American powered. And
what if the engine was built by an American?
Nope, doesn't count.
Damn it!
Sorry,
those guys will
I'm
eat
trying.
you alive.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get in.
Right. Yeah, you want to check it out? That's www.dragonites.com. DRAGNKNIGHTS.com. Can I thank a couple people?
Absolutely.
Is that okay?
Of course.
Thanks. I want to also thank Taps. If you go into Taps, you mention GrowlerGarage.net, they will give you a discount. You tell them Patrick sent you.
And that's not true. That's not actually true.
I believe it is. So
I don't think I can afford this.
Taps. Ask for the Patrick Britton discount. And I do want to thank my wife, who I love very much, my kids, Eric and Olivia, my dad, Pops, my mother, my sister, all those guys.
You sound like Scott Pruitt here.
Hi to my family at home. All right. But by the way, Lisa, if you watch this next week, dress up like Mrs. Frizzle. All right, cut.
And there's our title for this week. Growler Garage, episode 4. It took the entire episode to fall off the rails, but there it is. Wheels have fallen completely off this train. Thank you for joining us. So hit subscribe on YouTube, on iTunes, on Stitcher. We're on all of them. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.